All right, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 13 in my favorite power trio bands. 31 Days of July, my 31 favorite power trio bands. Three people, three guys, three gals, whatever. Okay, three people, bass, drums, guitar, keyboards, drums, keyboards, bass, and drums. Three basses, whatever it might be. Three guitars, three drummers, a theremin player, a flute player, and a glockenspiel player. Whatever, three individuals creating lots of power, making lots of noise. That's what it's all about here. The power trios. They got to have some kind of power though. For me, a lot of what I'm picking is just big sounds. Right? There's other trios that create more kind of like, you know, lighter sounds. I didn't really kind of go for them, even though I do have lots of other trios that create some great music. But I went for more of the powerful ones on this show, and probably none more powerful than this particular band, who debuted in the mid '70s and became a regular kind of like institution on the heavy rock scene for many years. And sadly, the three guys that made up the classic lineup of this band are no longer around. I'm talking about Motorhead, all right? The classic lineup. Lemmy Kilmister on bass and vocals. Filthy Animal Taylor, Phil Taylor on drums, and Fast Eddie Clarke on guitars. To me, one of the great power trios of all time, whether you call them heavy metal or hard rock or just rock and roll, as Lemmy always said for many years, right? A band very influential, probably helped really spearhead the whole speed metal scene. But they were never they always did their own thing. That's why it was always so hard to pigeonhole Motorhead, because they've always been kind of lumped as a heavy metal band, but a little bit more than that, right? They incorporated punk and heavy metal and just sleazy rock and roll. I always think of Motorhead as like the really heavy and grimy version of like the Rolling Stones, right? Just kind of like the Rolling Stones to the extreme. Big fat bass, Lemmy's trademark vocals, the ragged, jagged, somewhat bluesy guitars of Fast Eddie Clarke, and those rumbling, tumbling drums from Mr. Taylor there. So, for my favorite album by this lineup, and probably my favorite album from Motorhead overall, is Overkill from 1979. Right, terrific album, and there are the guys right there. Man, you talking about power trios that can make a lot of noise. Motorhead still to this day are one of the top 5 loudest bands I've ever seen. Just just immense. Bomber also released, amazing, right? Both of these classic albums from them released in the same year, right? Released in the same year. You have Ace of Spades, right? 1980. By many people's standards, this is their crowning achievement, right? That's I think most people you talk to, and especially when you talk about the early lineup, tend to talk about these two albums the most. Bomber also gets a lot of talk here. I also quite like Iron Fist. This is another album by the trio. This is the last studio album by these particular guys. And then the classic live album, No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Right, because back in these days, in the mid-late '70s and the early '80s, if you were a big hard rock and metal band, you had to have a bona fide live album, and this totally is that for this particular lineup. I will say I do want to give some props though, because I really like the album a lot, and I think it was kind of a missed opportunity for the band. They didn't stay together that long, but I think the next lineup, after Fast Eddie left and in comes Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy, this particular album, Another Perfect Day, I think is terrific, and I think I found him to be a really good addition to Motorhead. A lot of people said, "Oh, Brian Robertson, he's too melodic. He doesn't quite have the look." Yeah, maybe he didn't quite have the look, right? But I thought he was a terrific fit from a guitarist perspective, because I think, Fast Eddie was a very bluesy player. He had that kind of, at least with Motorhead, he had that kind of very like kind of jagged style, right? It's just kind of like noisy style. But Brian Robertson, terrific lead player, also could do like, really grimy, bluesy, heavy rock stuff. So but I think he didn't have the look, right? Because at the time he had cut his hair real short. He was wearing weird clothes that didn't really match up with the, the way Motorhead dressed, with the bullets and the spikes and all that kind of stuff and the leather. Didn't really match up, and I think he didn't really want to match up. So that really not a great fit, but a really good album, and it's just a shame that only lasted really quick. I always look at this album kind of like I do Black Sabbath, Born Again, with Ian Gillan, right? Really terrific album. Yeah, kind of a weird fit, but for me it really worked, but it just didn't really last. So, and I think, at the time, people looked at this album, because I remember a lot of Motorhead fans like, oh my God, this album is terrible. He's not a good fit. Bring back Fast Eddie, whatever. Similar thing to the Born Again. But now, now you look back on both of these albums, and I think they have really aged well over the years. I think most people now cite this as one of the underrated gems in the Motorhead catalog. But for today, for this purpose, for about the favorite power trios, it's about this lineup. It's about this lineup, and there they are. There are the three of them right there. Look at those guys. Yeah, they look badass, right? And they were badass. So and a lot of great songs, right? Overkill, Capricorn, No Class, Metropolis, title track to Ace of Spades, Love Me Like a Reptile, and Dead Men Tell No Tales. Just a lot of terrific songs. Heart of Stone, I'm the Doctor, Go to Hell. I mean, so many classic ones. Iron Horse. Yeah. Title track, The Bomber. A lot of really, really great Motorhead songs from this time period. Still to me, and a lot of other really strong Motorhead albums and a couple different lineups going forward. But to me, it's always been about the lineup and the albums that I grew up with when I was, getting into heavy music early on. And these albums to me are very cherished. But a lot of good stuff in the Motorhead catalog, of course. But to me, it's all about the original power trio, Filthy, Fast Eddie, and Lemmy. They are Motorhead, and they play rock and roll. So let us know what you think of Motorhead down in the comments below, as well as your pick today, your number 13 on the list, right? So we got 12 more to go. So stay tuned, everybody. Coming up tomorrow, number 12. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please consider subscribing. And click on that notification bell if you do, so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. We also have the links below if you want to make a channel donation to our Ko-Fi page, and as well as we've got a merch page. Those links are below, so you can check out all the stuff we've got available. And till tomorrow, we'll see you with another favorite power trio band. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.